Alright guys, so yesterday we talked about this quadrant color world program, and basically what we're doing here is we're saying if x is less than 250, that means that we're on the left of this line where x equals 250. Okay, and when we're on the left, we can either be on the top or the bottom. So when y is less than 250, we're on the top, and if it's not less than 250, then we're on the bottom. We see blue and green as the two possibilities on the left, so top and bottom. Then over here, we're saying, well, this means that we're on the right. If we're not on the left, then we're on the right. When we're on the top, we're going to be red. When we're on the bottom, we're going to be magenta. And so here we are on the right, red and magenta. Okay, so hopefully that all made sense yesterday. What we want to do today is talk about like another way of doing this. And the other way of doing this is to say like, well, maybe you're on the left and the top, or maybe you're on the left and the bottom, or maybe you're on the right and the top, or maybe you're on the right and the bottom. So the idea of using an operator like AND is what's called a logic operator. Okay, so we're going to talk about using logic operators. And so that's a new class that we're going to make using logic operators that has a main method. And so that looks like that. And let's just get started taking some notes on this. So whichever way you prefer to do that. There are basically three logic operators that we use. Those are AND, OR, as well as NOT. Okay? AND in Java looks like this. Okay? And so you're using two ampersands, and what it's going to do is it's going to join together two conditional operators, or two conditional statements, or two Boolean expressions or variables. Okay? This is only true when both Boolean expressions are true. If one of them is false or both of them is false, then the whole thing is going to be false. Okay? OR is given by these two characters, and those characters are under the delete key, and you got to go shift that backslash key to give you those two vertical bars. Okay, those two of those. So only false when both Boolean expressions are false. Okay? Otherwise, if anything is true with an OR, the whole thing is going to be true. Okay? And then the last one here is NOT. Okay? And the way that we do a NOT is with an exclamation point. Okay? And what this does is it negates the Boolean expression or variable. Okay? And so we'll see examples of those in a second here, but I want to make sure that you understand that up here we maybe should have added a little note up here to say and or join two Boolean expressions and or variables. Okay, so it's a way of saying like, is this thing true and this other thing true? Okay. Another way to think about that is this true or this other thing true? Okay? So we'll look at some examples of using those in a second. And then NOT is kind of separate from the other ones because it just works on one Boolean expression. Okay? So let's think about what we're going to do here. Let's go ahead and create an int called roll that we're going to make a random number between 1 and 10. So let's say we had a 10-sided die here. We're going to go math.random times 10 plus 1. Okay, and then let's go ahead and print that out. So the roll is roll. Okay, and then let's go ahead and start making some decisions about this thing. So let's just see if roll is greater than 3. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and do this kind of the old way, and then I'll show you kind of the new way that we can do it. So if roll is greater than 3, then let's check if roll is less than, let's say, 8. And if both of those things are true, then we're going to print out, if I can type, then we're going to print out that the roll is medium. Okay. So if I run that thing, this time I ran it and it says the roll is 5, and then it says the roll is medium because roll is greater than 3. And then if it is greater than 3, we're checking to see if it's less than 8. And if both of those conditions are true, we're saying that the roll is medium. Okay? So another way of doing that is to basically take away this other if. All right, so look up here for a second and say if roll is greater than 3 and roll is less than 8. So we're going to go ahead and take that out and make it look like this. Okay, if roll is greater than 3 and roll is less than 8, then print out the roll as medium. Okay. Now I want to point out that you can't do this. Okay. You can't do that because whatever this thing is joining, whatever's on both sides of the ampersand, has to be something that's either going to be true or false. So roll greater than 3 is either going to be true or false. Blank less than 8, we don't know how to work with that. So you got to put in the roll once again. So roll less than 8 there, and let's see what we get. Okay, so the roll is 6. Since 6 is greater than 3 and less than 8, we get the roll as medium. All right. So let's decide here. What if we wanted to check if the roll was, less than or equal to 3? Okay. So one way to do that would be to say roll is less than or equal to 3. Another way to say that is to say that the roll is not greater than 3. So we could go roll greater than 3. Okay. And then we could try to negate this. So the way that you would do that is you would put that in parentheses. Okay, roll greater than 3. And then you'd put an exclamation point in front of it. And sometimes I'll put a space there just to kind of make sure that people see the fact that there's a not right there. Okay, and then inside of here we're going to go print out something like the roll is small. Okay, so once again, let me just kind of make a comment here for you guys. This means roll is not greater than 3. Okay, here we're saying roll is greater than 3 and less than 8. Okay. Okay, so it says here the roll is 2, the roll is small, because 2 is greater than 3, that's false. 2 greater than 3 is false, but not false is going to be true. Okay, so now this evaluates to true, and we can print out the roll is small. All right. So I could do something else down here to see if the roll was high. Okay, but one thing that we can do with these is we can use that else statement. So we know that like this and this will never be both true. You know what I mean? I can't get a number that's not greater than 3, and then a number that's also greater than 3 and less than 8. So if I know that that's true, I can use an else, okay, to say only check this when this is false. All right? And if I continue to put an else here, then what that's saying is only if this was false am I going to check that. All right? And if this is false, then I should go ahead and do this next thing, which is to say, what? If the roll isn't small and it isn't medium, then what's the roll? Then hopefully the roll is big. Okay. All right. This is working out perfect as far as this random number thing is going. It doesn't always do that. So this time it says the roll is 10, the roll is big, right? So greater than 3 is true, but not that is false. So that tells me to evaluate what's after this else. Roll is greater than 3, that's true. Roll less than 8, that's false. So true and false is going to be false. And so that since that's false, it tells me to go to the else and just say the roll is big. Is this making sense so far? Okay. Let's just look at one example of using an OR. Okay. So let's go ahead and say if roll equals 1 or roll equals 10, then the roll has a 1 in it. Okay, not very exciting there, but hopefully you get the idea here that using this OR, if this is true or that's true, then we're going to say that the roll has a 1 in it. Okay, so let's see if we get lucky again here. Okay, so this time it was a 6. Greater than 3, not greater than 3 is false. So then it's doing this and saying the roll is medium. Let's go ahead and see if I get lucky here. Okay, cool. So this time I got a roll as 1. Okay, the way that this gets evaluated, is roll greater than 3 is false, because 1 is not greater than 3, but not false is true, so it's going to print out the roll is small. And then because of the else here, it's going to ignore the rest of this. It's not even going to look at the rest of it, okay, because this one was true. But then it goes down here and checks if roll is equal to 1. That's true. Roll equal to 10. That's false. But true or false is true, so it's printing out the roll has a 1 in it. Okay? So we've seen an example of using and. We've seen an example of using not, okay, or negation with the exclamation point. And we've seen an example of an or, okay? Now, when we start combining these, it gets a little bit confusing, but I'll just say this, that not has the most precedence, and comes after not, and or has the least precedence. So what do we mean by precedence there? We mean, like, if you're talking about order of operations, we would do ands before we would do ors, and we would do nots before we do ands. Okay, so if you have to evaluate something. And so hopefully you don't get into too many like big convoluted problems, you know, but in case you do, you just understand that this is the way that you would evaluate that.